Approach Sky 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Sky 6316, NorCal approach, center maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, Sky 6316.
Redwood 811, center maintain 4,000, airport open to Fox 1.
Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. Take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 Roman Carefly, runway heading, runway 5. Let's take off.
Check!
And we are ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport, a 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time, burning like the summer sun when the world was young. Silently staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening, Spaced Out Radio listeners. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio Weekend. You are on tonight with the host before the host. I am Elizabeth Anglin. I'm ringing in this show, which is just going to be great. I have goosebumps all over because the guest tonight talking with James Tyson is Akiane Kramarik. And she is, if you've been listening to our show, you're going to recognize some things in her talk about what she's been through that even she doesn't recognize, which is so cool because it gives evidence to some of the things that we've been talking about being an experiencer, being an abductee, although she probably wouldn't call herself that, but there'll be a story, and also being an experiencer of the divine, of being an experiencer of God's grace and creativity and divinity and universal consciousness. If there's one thing that Akiane Kramarik has in spades, it's universal consciousness. So, before we get going with that, I've got some announcements to make. The first thing is, we want you all to know about our new website, spacedoutradio.com. It has been updated. It's got really cool pictures of James Tyson, our one and only Mr. Jimmy, over there in the eye of an alien, and very mysterious-looking Dave Scott in the other eye. And once you get on, it's a lot easier than the former Spreaker interface. You just click on the website, and when we are live, it will start up and it will play for you. You don't have to look for anything. It's like, oh good, it's user-friendly, and I can get on, and I don't have to try to find out where I'm going. And okay, I'm sorry, I'm just getting overly excited about the whole, click, oh look, the show's playing live. So go there. If you want to listen to us, just go to spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio is on every night from 9 to midnight Pacific time. And if you're in the other time zones, you'll figure it out. And if you love Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Radio Weekend, and you want us to keep bringing you the best in paranormal, ufological, cryptozoological, spiritual, and intuitive stories and guests and information, then sign up for the SOR Space Travelership membership. It is a membership that is only $5 a month, less than a very large cup of iced coffee, which it sounds like I just drank, but I didn't. I did that yesterday. And with the membership, you get access to a private section on our website. No, there won't be racy pictures on there, but there will be pictures. You also get entered into monthly prize drawings for books, hats. You know, the hat that the fairies stole, that the Bigfoot stole, that ended up with Celeste King and I drinking mead, the story that we told last night on the SOR Space Travelers chat room. Yeah, hats like that. And there's also private posting areas for videos, photos, and experiences, but we have to keep it PG, so it'll be, you know, photos of things like Bigfoot, or just our critters, or orbs. We like orbs, or other stuff that's important to you. There will also be a private monthly interview and a monthly newsletter. So if you like Spaced Out Radio and you want to keep the fun going, become a Spaced Out Radio space traveler. Because some of us are already space travelers anyway, we might as well just claim it. So tonight, getting back to Akiane Kramarik. Akiane Kramarik, if you've ever heard of her, is one of the few prodigy master artists that have come along in the past, half century, maybe longer than that. She started painting when she was 4 years old. She grew up in a family of, her mother and father were atheists. She did not have any sort of spiritual upbringing. They didn't have a TV. They didn't have a lot of books. And what happened with her is she started having conversations with God and being shown visions, having conversations with Jesus and being shown visions. And in order to show her mother what she was seeing, she started painting. So Akiane wouldn't maybe call this channeling, but as somebody who does do mediumship and channeling, I would, because that's what I do, and I'm old, and I spent a lot of time studying what the definition is, and so it's like more academic for me. For her, it's just this natural experience, and out of this experience comes paintings and poetry and beautiful creations. Now, everybody has this ability, and one of the things Akiane has said is she thought everybody would have this ability, but other people weren't displaying it, so she didn't know why people were thinking that it was different. But everybody does have the ability, once you are retrained or trained to notice it, to be able to have clairvoyance, which Akiane has, clairaudience, which she has, and clairsentience. And those three things, there are other clairs, but this is a type of mental seeing. Clear vision is clairvoyance, where you can see very accurate visions of things as they are in a non-local area. And there is a quantum theory of non-locality. Well, our brains are kind of quantum computers, and we don't really know that yet because our science hasn't caught up. And clairvoyance is just an offshoot of our ability to process information non-locally, especially visual information. That information will go directly to our optic nerve, and it will go directly to our brain, and we will process it just like we would if we learn to recognize it and we learn to be in the right state to see clairvoyantly. We'll process it just like we would eyesight. It'll be a little bit different, but mainly you can get very, very clear vision of situations if you learn to recognize when your brain is operating in that way and set up the conditions for it to happen. And that's what mediums do. That's what we do on a daily basis when we work. That's what we do when we train, is we set up situations where we can repeat the process of clairvoyance. Clairaudience is also clear hearing from the spiritual realm, the astral realms, from non-local locations that may be in the physical world. So you could, and telepathy from animals, telepathy from beings, light beings, telepathy from aliens who are in physical bodies. Those are all part and parcel of the same way that the brain works for clairaudience. If you can hear it telepathically from a living being, you can, in the right situation, and probably more easily than somebody has never recognized having telepathic communication, hear it from a spiritual being, hear it from somebody on the astral plane, hear it from an angel as well. So clairaudience is clear healing. Clairsentience, clear feeling. And this is when you have an emotional feeling or a physical feeling in your body about something. I have two kinds of clairsentience. One is clear feeling, clear emotional feeling. The other is clear somatic feeling, because I'm a real somaticizer. And a lot of us empathic people are, a lot of us naturally intuitive people are clear somaticizers, or we are somaticizers, which is if there is an emotion, we feel it in our physical body, but also if somebody has pain, we feel their pain in our physical body. So it's part and parcel of just using the neurological system of the body in order to non-locally gather and process information. All of this information, it can be either local, it can be on the Earth, it can be on the Moon, it can be on Mars, it can be across the galaxy, it can be in another dimension, and Akiane talks about that, about seeing different galaxies and different dimensions. But the basic thing is that we have this wonderful quantum processing, sensing capability as human beings, and a few of us are right there with it, like Akiane. And some of us over time have developed it more and more, and some of us had to have aliens put training wheels on us, so we would develop it because we were kicking and screaming the whole way. And it's nothing to be afraid of. But there is this sort of medieval consciousness on this planet of certain people who want to disallow us to grow into this ability of non-local sensing, of not using clairvoyance, don't use clairaudience, don't use clairsentience. They basically will say, okay, well, that's demonic and that's coming from a bad place. And yada, 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 yada. If you're worried about that, if you're somebody who you're starting to have visions, you have clairvoyance, or you hear things telepathically, or you hear things from spirit, or you have clairsentience, you feel things, you either feel them emotionally or you feel them in your body and you know they're not yours. How do you know that what you're seeing is not something that is quote-unquote evil or bad? Well, a really good book to get as a resource is called People of the Lie, which talks about kind of being borderline personality, like, are you psychotic? No. Are you close to it? Yeah, sometimes. But the other thing is, it's not about being psychotic. What this book talks about is how demonic and beings of a dark nature work. And one thing that they do not do is bring about more order, more harmony, more beauty, more love, more information that is of a helpful nature, more diversity, more understanding, more patience, more forgiveness, more love. Those are the things that they do not do. And if you're beginning to be clairvoyant, when your body first starts, one of the scary things is that normally you will start processing things with a lot of emotional information. So we have a lot of new psychics who will see plane crashes, train crashes, terrorist attacks. It doesn't mean that it's demonic. It means that it's got more quantum energy in the situation. And so when you're first starting, it's the first thing you pick up on. If you're not a natural like Akiane, if you're like me, who kicked and screamed the whole way, then it starts out with the kind of scary stuff. But once you get past that, you can go to places like Akiane does, go across the universe, go on travels with helpful beings, see other dimensions, learn about our sort of consciousness, non-local consciousness throughout the galaxy and throughout all the dimensions and throughout all of time, and see beautiful, beautiful things and live a beautiful, beautiful life. And so my long, short answer to how do you know what you're seeing is divine and not demonic is after you get past the emotional when you first start the sort of emotional visions, things that have a lot of emotional energy, after you get past this, you start seeing things that are beautiful. You start being shown things that really bring a lot of beauty and a lot of depth and a lot of understanding into your life. And this is what Akiane does just naturally from the time she was 4 years old. But one of the things I'd like to read to you, and how you will know, as if you are an intuitive and if you are on the path and you just can't stop yourself, is the blessing way, walking in beauty. Because I think it speaks so much to what Akiane has been doing, but also all of us who are on the path of being intuitive, who are learning through either telepathy or through paranormal experiences or through experiences with light beings or through having visions of Jesus or God or Krishna or whoever it is. Here you begin to see things in a light that is beautiful. And the Navajo have a wonderful blessing and a wonderful way of summing up what goodness is, what it is to be on a path of a good life, of a beautiful life. And here it is as a poem, Walking in Beauty. Today I will walk out. Today everything unnecessary will leave me. I will be as I was before. I will have a cool breeze over my body. I will have a light body. I will be happy forever. Nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me. I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty below me. I walk with beauty above me. I walk with beauty around me. My words will be beautiful. In beauty all day long may I walk. Through the returning seasons may I walk. On the trail marked with pollen may I walk. With dew at my feet may I walk. With beauty before me may I walk. With beauty behind me may I walk. With beauty below me may I walk. With beauty above me may I walk. With beauty all around me may I walk. When you are an intuitive or anyone, if you want to question if something has value, if it is good, if it is deeply inspired by spirit, if the Creator is present within it, there is this innate beauty within it when you see it. Yes, everything changes and the seasons change and people pass on and they go to other realms. But if you ever have a question, there is order, there is harmony, there is balance, there is beauty. And so there's no need to be afraid. And if you are afraid, grab this poem. It's on Google. Say it in the morning. Say it when you wake up. And there are other things as well. But if you're finding that your life is becoming beautiful, or that you notice beautiful, or you have beautiful visions, don't be afraid of them. Let the world see them. Tell the world about them. And this is why we love our next guest, Akiane, because that's exactly what she's been doing since she was 4 years old. And her story is amazing. And like I said, and James will tell you,
and I will,
there's more to it. Yeah, he will. There's more to it. So you were telling me a little bit about it, that there's more going on there.
Oh, it's very, very interesting. We touch on the paintings and when that started, her background. But a lot of the things we talk about are very interesting. And what I mean interesting, we at Spaced Out Radio and Spaced Out Weekend will recognize a lot of the experiences that this young lady's had in her life as being things that other people have talked about. She's one of the only binary geniuses, or child binary geniuses on the planet, and has been called the first master, like modern master in painting in the 21st century. So she's been, since she's was brought to the public's attention on the Oprah show and a few of the other shows, she's had a number of labels hung around her neck. And bless her, she hasn't let them weigh her down. She's still a very, I'm not going to say sheltered, but she's focused, and she gets up at 3 o'clock every morning and starts her work. An amazing, amazing young lady. Well, she's pretty old. She's going to be 22 on July 9th.
Isn't that crazy?
And
I didn't even... that's just so crazy.
I've got boots that are older than she is. So that's what's crazy. So what we're going to do is, because this interview goes, we're going to be going for about an hour or 2.5 hours. So grab some popcorn, fill your tea up, grab whatever you need, and we're going to get into it right now. So you all aren't going to be sitting up in the blessed AM. All right?
Yeah, before you start, though, I've got to make a couple more announcements.
Yep.
In case you came in late and you're in the Space Out radio chat room, or you just started to tune in because you're expecting the show to start a little bit later, or if you have been somebody who's been listening on Spreaker, please go to the spacedoutradio.com now. Don't go to Spreaker anymore. Spacedoutradio.com will turn on the live show. You can listen live there as soon as you get there. And if you like us, please become a space traveler. We want to have you in our private group of fun stuff with no racy pictures, but lots of pictures of cool stuff, and free swag and free books and other good things. So if you're just coming in now and you were trying to get on Spreaker, just go to spacedoutradio.com now, and you'll see the very handsome picture of James in the eye of the alien. And that's really all I had to say about that. You're dreamy, James.
I know. I think the term is dozy, but I'm not really sure how that goes.
Or dopey.
or some of the other ones.
No, you're anti-dopey.
Okay, I want everybody to head out. You've got 3 minutes to grab yourself a tea, grab your popcorn. Be right back after this little break here with Akiane Kramarik. Thanks, Elizabeth. Have a good night.
You're welcome. I'll see you later. I'll be in the chat room. See y'all later. Bye.
AP Radio News. I'm Carlotta Bradley. The FBI has interviewed Hillary Clinton about her use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. AP correspondent Ben Thomas reports.
The FBI interview had been expected, and legal experts say it's unlikely Clinton or anyone else will face prosecution. Still, the timing is awkward for Democrats, coming mere weeks before the party's convention, when Hillary Clinton is expected to be formally nominated for president.
President Obama is praising author and Holocaust survivor Elie Wiesel as one of the great moral voices of our time, and in many ways the conscience of the world. He says Wiesel raised his voice not just against anti-Semitism, but against hatred, bigotry, and intolerance in all forms. United States Holocaust Memorial Council member Mike Ross also remembers Wiesel for his humanitarian work.
Elie Wiesel is a giant in the larger community, but also in the Holocaust survivor community.
Israel's Yad Vashem Holocaust Memorial announced on Saturday that Wiesel died at the age of 87. Police in Michigan say a 24-year-old man took a wrong turn, crashed through a fence, and ruptured a natural gas line in suburban Detroit. They say that caused an explosion in the wee hours of Saturday that forced the evacuation of nearby residents and even melted siding off a house. Melvindale Police Chief Chad Hayes says police spoke to the driver afterward.
After interviewing him and several of the people, it appears that alcohol was a factor in this traffic crash.
The fireball could be seen for miles in southeastern Michigan and also across the Detroit River in Canada. A nearby resident says it knocked him out of the bed. In the American League, the Angels are playing Boston. This is AP Radio News. California Governor Jerry Brown has signed some new gun control laws.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave, and welcome everyone to Spaced Out Weekend. It is I, James Tyson, just as Dave said, still broadcasting to you from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network, located here in the spiritual and paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. And tonight I have a treat. I have with us Akiane Kramarik. Now, Akiane's life began in an unusual way with an underwater home birth in a shack on the edge of a cornfield. Now, although during her first years the family experienced severe hardships, Akiane grew up in a nurturing homeschooling environment. Her mother was a Lithuanian immigrant teacher and her father a chef from Chicago. In their rural Illinois home, the family had no friends, no relatives, no television or radio, and their life was quite simple. Long walks in nature, open conversations, hands-on explorations of knowledge. Now, when Akiane was 4 years old, even though the family was indifferent to spirituality or religion, suddenly she started experiencing vivid impressions about invisible realms and a great desire to express them through art, utilizing whatever medium was found on hand. Lipstick, candles, fruits, vegetables, charcoal, or pencils. Though once in a while she would share many details about the self-aware universes she was seeing. Most of her spiritual experiences she kept a secret, so not to overwhelm her parents. It's not the time yet for you to know what I see. When that time comes, then you will know, she had told her parents over and over again. Whether it was Akiane's vivid imagination or real experiences, her realistic drawings of mostly faces undoubtedly impressed everybody. And during her first local art exhibition, people often had a hard time believing that the work could be actually created by such a young child. Soon afterwards, Akiane plunged into the world of colors and a few more years later into the world of poetry, leaving her family and audiences puzzled. Now, gradually, the days became filled with thinking, painting, and writing. And at the tender age of 8, the self-taught prodigy completed her first 5-foot-long oil paintings, mastering realism equal to that of a seasoned artist. The media took immediate notice, and her unique story rapidly circled the nation. Oprah Winfrey was one of the first to discover this 9-year-old's gift and once shared it during her show. Akiane's fame took off. Soon, every continent was reporting her breathtaking story. Since then, she's been called a genius, a prodigy, a crystal child, an indigo, a messenger, a visionary, an ambassador, and the first true master of the 21st century. Completely unconcerned about all the labels or accolades about her, Akiane, now just about 22 years old, continues to express herself through art and poetry, inspiring and changing countless lives, one person at a time. Those who have gotten to know this young genius find her joyful, gentle, dedicated, modest, and unpretentious. The young painter seems to be completely focused on her work, getting up at 4 a.m. for many hours painting in her studio. Detail after detail, layer after layer, month after month, sometimes spending as much as 4 months on a single painting. During her leisure, Akiane loves writing her poetry and novels, composing on a piano, brushing up on 4 languages, fashion designing, sewing, and playing with her 4 brothers. She will frolic with her golden retriever and a few close friends in the forest, and even draw in the coloring books along with the youngsters, just to have fun. It seems that she can equally connect with all age groups, and lives who come in contact with Akiane are seldom the same. Hundreds of children decide to follow in Akiane's footsteps and pursue a self-education by following their true passions. Both the paintings and the poetry that accompany her images are often filled with riddles, symbols, and codes. Her style appears to be unusually versatile and profoundly complex, as if she is trying to reveal the deepest workings of the unknown. Akiane seems to have an awareness of reality, seen or unseen, that penetrates deeper than that of the ordinary human. She chooses her subjects from vastly different epochs or realms and real-life models from all over the world and from all the races. The images of her original masterpieces are finished to such an ultra-realistic level that it transcends her canvas and transports the viewer into the artist's world of authentic reality. Many of the world's leaders, royalty, scientists, media, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and celebrities have been acquainted with her art and or are collecting it. Her art exhibitions have been held in museums, galleries, embassies, private mansions, universities, institutes, monasteries, churches, hotels, and corporations across the world. To see Akiane's originals is such a rare and life-changing experience that hundreds of art collectors and enthusiasts are flowing into her studio gallery inspired by her genius. Usual solo art exhibitions and book signings attract thousands, waiting in line for hours. She is just a fabulous young woman. Her originals are sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and many are valued at millions, making Akiane the most successful living visual art child prodigy in the world. Tens of thousands of dollars have been raised through auctions and art exhibits and donated to needy people throughout the globe. Included into the group of the richest kids entrepreneurs of America, Akiane has been touring around the United States along with the other top entrepreneurs, teaching millions of people about the secrets of success and happiness. The interest in Akiane has reached unprecedented proportions with over 200 published artworks, 800 literary creations, 2 published best-selling books, regular appearances on primetime TV and radio, such as she did on Oprah Winfrey, World News Tonight, Good Morning America, Spaced Out Weekend, Glenn Beck, The View, Fox News, Montel Williams, Late Late Show, Lou Dobbs, The Hour of Power. Did I say Spaced Out Weekend? Oh, yes, I did. And numerous other top media coverages in Brazil, Japan, Korea, Norway, Lithuania, Ireland, England, Canada, Middle East, and China. Now, with an introduction into the Kids Hall of Fame and the World Council for Gifted and Talented Children, almost 300 million hits a year on her website. That's www.akiane.com. That's AKIANE.com. The main website for Akiane's gallery, and over 100,000 daily hits on the internet searches of the World Wide Web. Wise far beyond her years, Akiane, however, isn't different to either her praise or criticism. She cannot help but paint and write. I was born to paint, she says. What also makes Akiane so unique and renowned is that she is able to portray the invisible and visible realms with such emotion and realism. Most of her priceless masterpieces carry a mysterious result. She often uses an unidentified golden dust substance that once materialized in front of her eyes. Her painting Innocence is a hologram from the front of the lady appearing young and serene, but from the side she is all in tears and wrinkles. Akiane believes that people in the future will be able to study her originals with special microscopes, revealing a quantum relationship of the deepest colors and the stories in her work. She has even been able to document her own masterpieces from beginning to end on film for educational purposes and remains always open for many scientific and artistic collaborations. This fearless artist is not afraid to jump into the most enigmatic and thought-provoking visual and literary debates, engaging those that seek to explore uncharted territories. People from all beliefs and backgrounds seem to respond to her vision of love and unity like to know oneself. Akiane says that our future is our present. If we take care of it, we take care of tomorrow. The start and finish line is love, and I know I'm just one person, but I wish that with each brushstroke and with each message, I could bring hope to those who have lost it. Now, with that introduction she has to live up to, here she is, Miss Akiane Kramarik. How are you?
We're doing wonderful. How are you?
I am fine, and I just want to say happy upcoming birthday.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, I used to be 22.
Yeah, me too. I'm not there yet, but...
Yes, 22 was a marvelous age. I have no memory of it. It was back somewhere in the 1920s, I think. I have no idea. But, well, thank you very much for dropping by Spaced Out Weekend. And my listener is giddy because we are great fans and loving your work. For those who are just kind of bumping into you, could you tell me a little bit about yourself? I have to confess, I heard about you back when you were just a little baby on the Oprah show, and saw you there, and I was floored. I became a fan back then. But what happened before? What were you, about 9 when you were on Oprah?
Yes, it was when I was 9, but my whole journey started roughly around when I was 3.5, 4 years old. And at the time, I grew up in a family where it's a very open-minded and nurturing environment. I didn't go to school at the time. I was very nature schooled, you could say. I grew up with very supportive parents and brothers, and I think that was a very good foundation for me in my beginning life. So around 3.5, 4 years old, I began expressing my creativity, and when I started seeing dreams and I started seeing visions, I began to draw them so I could record them somehow. And you would see me every day in the corner trying to perfect and trying to redraw all my visions and all my dreams that I was seeing every single day. And whatever I used on hand, it could be candles, it could be vegetables, charcoal, just you name it. I used it just to record it. And my mother noticed my work. From that point on, she really started supporting me in my ventures. And at 6 years old, I began experimenting with color pastels and in acrylics. But by 8 years old, I completed my first 5-foot-long oil painting that took me about 40 hours to complete. And then about roughly around when I was 9 years old, we got a call, and that call was from the Oprah Winfrey Show. And after much hard work and a lot of showcasing my art, she noticed my talent, and she invited me to her show. And from that point on, I published 2 books, and I was featured in more than 200 international and television shows and documentaries, and also my story was featured in the Heaven is for Real feature movie and best-selling book. But right now I'm extremely my heart is into charities right now, so I love to contribute to a lot, and that's kind of who I am inside, to help a lot of people and to inspire people. So right now I completed over 300 pieces of works and donated hundreds of thousands to charity, and going to hopefully in the future build some Academy of Arts and Sciences.
It's almost like everything you've done ever since a child, other than the expression of your visions to probably, as a very, very little one, to say, Mom, Dad, this is what I see. I couldn't, at that age, you don't have the words for them. So this is...
Exactly. Because when I was a child, I very rarely spoke, actually, because I always felt that it's not tangible enough. So I needed to do something more vibrant and physical, more physical, tangible substance. And I think painting was my gateway to that creativity world.
Everything that you said and where you want to go in your future is all giving someone else something.
That's what I believe. I think we're all here on this planet that we have to, in a way, find the best of ourselves, but at the same time give what you know and what you can create to others so they could pass it on to another person. And I think that chain reaction is extremely important in humanity.
It's that giving that connects us to our neighbor, our brothers and sisters. We seem to want to make them either pass on a message to them or make them feel good, and that in turn that makes us whole and makes us feel good.
Absolutely, because ideas are extremely valuable and inspirational. I think we all can share ideas, and it's priceless. And yeah.
Do your parents still have those sketches from when you were 3.5, 4?
This is the funniest thing, back when I was that age, I was such a perfectionist. I would throw away my drawings constantly. And behind my back, which I did not know until a couple years ago, my mom or my brothers or my dad would go and, secretly take the drawing out of the garbage can, and they kept quite a few drawings, and hopefully in my book that I'm going to be publishing, my new book this year, will showcase almost all of those earlier works.
Oh, that would be fantastic, because those are the ones that, as somebody old in age at 22 can look back on and say, oh, at 4 I drew a face, and it's amazing that I did that at 4.
That is so true.
Looking back, you now have that kind of little history of, oh, this is how I morphed into the perfection of the faces and moved on. Your style and your art, how did you think at the time? Now, if you grew up without television, you grew up without radio. My belief is, and this is just throwing my belief out here, is that children have a gift at birth, and eventually we get polluted by science, religion, and we get told what we should think and told what, and I see you and your mother being a teacher, you yourself is a blank canvas. And you just opened up, and then you could go in whatever direction you want and be guided in any direction you want.
That's a very beautiful thing that you just said, because I absolutely agree wholeheartedly that every child has just like that blank canvas. There are the most purest people on the planet, because they have everything together at that very moment. And I think the moment we start forcing boxes into them and forcing ideas is the moment that their selves are destroyed. So I think being in that pure environment is extremely helpful for the child's upbringing.
I've read interviews I've seen them, where from when you were a child, like the Oprah show, and it's your heartfelt belief that your talent for painting is a gift and your teacher is God. Is that God helping you express yourself? Was it a quicker way possibly to express yourself, or how do you kind of reconcile with that?
This is a very interesting question, because my view of what God is might be different from yours, for example, or from a person from India or China or Russia. I think in my experience, the connection that I have with spirituality is so everybody's different, so to speak. So my version of God is almost what I can explain is this immense love that actually communicate with. It's this energy source that is with everybody at the same time, and but you can have a relationship. It's a very complicated. It's very complicated to explain, but what I wanted to say is, yes, spirituality and having a relationship with God is for me very helpful with my creativity, because through the unfiltered lenses, I could see the world with beauty, and that's why I love art, because I could put my time, my energy, my physical energy into making that happen, making that beauty stand out.
I guess you're more familiar now than you were when you're 9 years old with the term channeling. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of how if you could use the layman's term of channeling, and I don't mean as some of my friends say, the voodoo kind of channeling, but the channeling of letting something flow through you to create. Is that how you may look back now and explain a little bit of the painting you did when you were very, very young?
You know what? I think the best way I can describe, I believe what channeling to me is almost like a liquid inspiration that goes through inside your body. And I believe that everyone on this planet has that capability to receive that channeling, that liquid inspiration. And from every painting that I do, ever since I was a child, I felt that just overcome me, and it's extremely important. It's extremely vital in my point of view that being in touch with that is very, very, very beautiful, and I think everyone should try it when it comes to creativity.
Oh, I've tried it, but my faces are all wonky. I can get one side well, but the other. Well, anyway, I'd rather just look at your paintings. They're really
you're
good.
Too kind, James.
One of the greatest photographs I've seen of you painting was you, and you're wearing a blue sweater doing a self-portrait.
Oh, the turquoise eyes. Yes.
The turquoise eyes. That is, there's three of you in that photograph, and it's amazing. And that is the type of painting that, to me, it's almost like a transfer of energy. You're putting yourself onto a one-dimensional surface, but it still looks so three-dimensional because of the energy that's in it. Not, we always say in paintings, if you put the little, like the white speck in the eyes, it looks like it's following you around, and there's tricks you can put to bring it out in certain things. But that painting has an energy in it that it looks like your face is a little bit turned. It looks like you're just about to turn your face, and it's I want to say creepy. It's an interesting painting. That self-portrait looks like you're in a hesitation, thinking about something, and you're about to turn and look at the person looking at you. That is a painting that does something psychologically to me. It's almost like you're waiting for you to turn. Some of your other paintings, similarly, they're the religious-based ones where you can almost see your eyes in some of the subjects. Your eyes. What is it about the eyes? Your eyes are. When you paint eyes, it's crazy.
This is such this is such a thing about art with me. When someone asks me what's the most important thing on the canvas, what do you do first? I'm like, what's your favorite part to start? I always start with the eyes because to me, they are the most important, because you actually can see the entire story, the entire memories, the entire future, the past inside just that one glance. And with every painting that I do, I wanted to capture a whole life in 1 second. And hopefully I was able to do that with my works. But, it's very interesting when you mention every single painting that I do. I almost unconsciously try to get into that mood for that particular painting. For example, if it was the turquoise eyes that we just mentioned, I would put myself into that position where it is that world where it has that the turquoise color, the raw, very silent emotion that does not require words. I'm trying to get into that character, and almost every single painting that I do would have an emotion and a character, a story, a whole world behind it, and that's what I try to create with art.
And you do a gosh darn good job, young lady.
Oh, well, I thank you so much, James.
Yeah, it humbles me. There's one of your paintings of a child in blue fabric around his face.
The young sage, right?
Young sage, and his eyes. There is not only his life inside there, but it seems like everyone else's. It's amazing. He looked like he's thinking about a lot of... The eyes are thinking. His brain is so full, his eyes are now taking over it. And you do a really good job at affecting a feeling.
Thank you so much. Actually, that was one of my favorite paintings, the one you just mentioned, the young sage right now. I absolutely, very rarely I have a favorite, but that's one of them. And because I wanted to capture the what he is seeing, what the people's lives that he was seeing, or the event that he was seeing, but at the same time what he was feeling. And I wanted to correlate everything at the same time, all into one.
And it worked. Holy gosh, yeah. I had a question for later. It was, what's your favorite painting so far? And it would be like asking somebody what their favorite snowflake shape is. It's
exactly.
It's crazy. I'm gonna save my hard question, like what's your favorite color, for later.
Those are always the hardest, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about some of the visions and some of to give my listener an idea of how these came about, or I shouldn't say how they came about, because we'll never know. In a way, do you ever perceive yourself as leaving and going on a trip, or like holding God's hand and he takes you out and shows you something?
I wouldn't say almost like leaving on a trip. I would probably say, in a sense, at the same time while I am here, my spiritual self always keeps on traveling and going on adventures. I would say it almost both myselves are doing individual tasks, but as a whole. It's very complicated.
No, true astro travel? Does that? I
haven't heard of this term before.
Okay, astro traveling is the perception, like you could be fast asleep and actually sitting up and looking back down, and your body's still there, and you can go wherever you want.
Oh, that's a beautiful term.
Your spirit actually can travel outside of what I call our meat sack, our skeleton and meat collection, and your spirit can go. You're still connected, and you can come back and you go back to sleep, or you go back into your body. And people talk about astro traveling as I do this at night. I can go see X, and it gets into all these things where the military do it to look at some military base somewhere. That's what I was wondering, if that is the sensation that you get, that you actually can, your soul or your spirit, I call it. So there, and then it's semantics. So what you may call soul, I call spirit, or what you call spirit, other people call soul. But our spirit energy leaves our physical body. And
it's very interesting what you just said, because I do recall many times that in the past, especially when I was 5 years old, what I would happen to do, somehow I would inadvertently went into someone else's eyes and lived through their life, and I would experience their hardship or their joy, and I would kind of almost come back into the Akiane body, and I would feel everything that happened to that specific person. It was almost like you're almost like nomad going through one part of the galaxy, or going and living through someone else's lives. And it's a very interesting thing that you just said. I have to remember that term.
Yeah, astro traveling, it's a term, more of a spiritual term, but it's very kind of on the cutting edge of the belief that our spirit, our soul, our energy is universal and transient. We can, once we're done on this plane here, our energy still exists. Mm-hmm. So why not be able to leave? And some people can do it, and I can't. You can be taught it. It comes naturally. A friend of mine who had a near-death experience, it didn't bother him.
Oh wow! This is oh wow! This is amazing.
He actually died and separated himself from his body.
Gee,
and was escorted to heaven. At which point he went through a number of. It seemed like he was gone for a few hours. His name is Eugene Braxton, and he's a very, very interesting gentleman. He then met what he can only describe as the God source, the God, which was just an energy that came to him and said, "You got to go back."
Oh, wow.
Zips back. But he remembers every point of it because he, as a kid, he was doing this out-of-body thing, but he thought everyone else could do it. When you were growing up and you were doing the sketching and seeing your visions, is that kind of where you were? Because you were, again, separated from the influences from the outside world. No television, and limited books. Came out of a very non-religious based family. Mm-hmm. Your mother being an atheist and your dad being basically agnostic, but you had no influences from the outside to do with anything like this. What would you express? How would you explain what was going on? Did you think everyone else had the same thing when they were young?
There was this one experience that happened to me when I was around five and a half years old. And I do remember quite clearly that it was in Missouri, Mount Morris. It was in Missouri. And I was walking inside our house, and all of a sudden my consciousness went black, and I felt my spirit or soul being lifted up and went into like millions of pieces. And it turned out that I was physically gone for 9 to 10 hours, and my mom and my dad, they searched everywhere, and they there was the police at our house, and there were search dogs everywhere, and they couldn't find me. And in the meantime, I felt that I was going and doing these journeys, and I was meeting people in this spiritual world, these souls. And after, it felt like forever. I felt like I was there for the longest time. And in that brief moment, I started seeing my whole entire family from above, in a sense, even the police dogs, the police going around the neighborhoods and handing out my pictures. And I felt this need to come back. And I remember in that instant, the pieces that were scattered came together as one, and I was back right where I left, and it was in the middle of the hallway. And there was 2 police officers, and my mom were right there, 15 feet away from me, and they turned around, and they couldn't fathom the fact that I was right there. And that was one of the most memorable experiences, and that kind of, in a sense, propelled my mom and my dad to open up new possibilities of different worlds and spirituality. And from that moment on, at the time, my mom came up to me, and I do remember the question she asked. She was crying, and she asked me, "Where have you been?" And I was extremely tired, and I had, these raccoon eyes, and I just said one word, just one sentence. And I was like, you wouldn't understand, but I have so much to do. And from that point on, I kind of, that was my point where I used art every single day as my gateway to express what I saw during that experience.
Oh my goodness. We are talking to Akiane Kramarik, and we're going to be back with more talking about these kind of things that have affected Akiane and have got her to where she is now with her art, her poetry, and her spirituality. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Would you like to become one of our space travelers? All you have to do is click on the Space Travelers icon at spacedoutradio.com. For only $5 a month, you can get access to some great prizes, as well as private monthly shows, newsletters, and a members-only section on our website. Become a space traveler today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Fairies? Bigfoot? Dogmen? Trolls? Goblins? Hey, if it's cryptid in any way, I'm looking into it. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, also known as Spaced Out Radio's Crypto Guru. Join me every second Wednesday of the month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will talk about the stories people call tall tales. I will fill you in on the latest sightings and the hidden histories that are causing quite a stir. You can find everything at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is your medium Joanna from Spaced Out Weekend, 2 mediums and a large. I would love it if you would come and join us with host James Tyson every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. Together, we will take your calls and your questions live. Our goal is to provide you with a positive outlook on deep questions that you may have. Questions regarding love, relationships, money, or whatever else is on your mind. Come and check us out at spacedoutradio.com.
Is the 24-hour world starting to wear you down? Let me from Rivulet Reiki and Ratings lend you a hand. Hi, this is Jolene. And if you're in need of Reiki or a room reading, come to my website, rivuletrr.wix.com/rivuletrr&r, and let us help you out. At Rivulet, I specialize in healing your body, mind, and soul, no matter where you are. And be sure to check out the Rivulet R&R Facebook page for your best deals. Remember, it's time for you to make some time for you.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson can be found at spacedoutradio.com. Head to our website where you can join the Space Travelers and sign up for your new membership. You can also follow James on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. Now, back to our paranormal guru, James Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody, to Spaced Out Weekend. We are with Akiane Kramarik. Please go to her go get married to Akiane. Go to her website. It's just Akiane.com. That's AKIANE.com. I could just imagine. I've been a Mountie up in Canada for 28 years, policeman up here. And no, we don't ride horses and wear the red outfit all the time. But just saying, I could just imagine me standing in a hallway after a 10-hour search for somebody, look up, and there you are. I would have more questions that would fill a notebook up than your parents would.
That is so true, because, from even that day was the most unusual day, and everybody, the whole squad, the whole team, my family, my dad, he can track a mouse in 20-mile radius. That's how good he is in the detective, and he couldn't find me, and it was a day where no one really understood what the heck happened. But there was this, at the end of the day with the policeman, there was a policeman who came up to me and gave me a teddy bear, which I still have today. And he said this is for, if you need anything to hug, just keep this to your side. So I still have that teddy bear today. So that was quite of a memorable experience, that's for sure.
Now, you've come back from that, and you had a lot to do. So off you went and you did it, do you believe you were tasked with a number of things? And if so, have you completed all the tasks?
I don't remember the whole entire experiences, but I do know that the memories that I came back with, and those memories were these stories that I saw, these places, these almost galactic planets and these peoples, and I've seen so much that it was so hard for me to even fathom. But I do know that it was, for me, I think those were the subjects that I needed to paint and to show and to share with everyone. So that's probably what why I said that in the past. I needed to paint all the things that I saw, and or else I would forget them. So that's what I intended to do, and I'm still doing it to date. I'm still trying to finish all the things that I've tried to remember.
Okay, don't finish them too quickly, just in case they're going to call you home after you're done. We always leave one outstanding. So do it when you're like 100 years old. And go,
that's a very good point, James.
I have a 13-year-old daughter who does ballet, and her favorite painting is the ballerina tying up her point shoes. So.
Oh, that's fantastic.
She told me I had to tell you that, because that's.
Oh. Tell her I love that. Tell her I love watching ballet as well.
We go back, and one of your most favorite paintings, or I'm not going to say your favorite, but one of the most iconic paintings that you did, the Prince of Peace. Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about that one? How old were you? And really just kind of tell me from start to finish, how the heck did my little friend Akiane paint that?
Oh, this painting is actually dated back 3 years before. So this whole story started around 6 years old, I believe 6.5. And at the time, I was seeing these snapshots of pictures of this particular image, this particular face. And I couldn't put it together because I didn't have the full image yet in my head. And after about 3 years went by, I finally pieced the image together. And it was extremely technically difficult, but I knew I had to paint it. And in order to paint that, I needed also a physical model. So around 8 years old, just when I turned 8, I decided to start searching for a model. And I asked my mom to drive me everywhere. And for a full 6 months, I would go from mall to grocery stores to the park, the beach. I would go everywhere just to see if I can find a perfect model. And there was a time at the end where I completely gave up, and I almost put my hands up in the air and says, unconsciously, I just blurted out and I said, I give up, but if you really want me to paint this image, bring the model to my front door. Well, it turned out, be careful what you ask for, because almost 5 hours later, I heard a knock on the door, and I opened the door, and there stood a almost 6.5 foot tall carpenter who heard from a friend that an artist that was in my house was looking to paint the face of Christ. Mm-hmm. But he did not expect that the artist was a 8-year-old girl. So a lot of explaining and a lot of convincing took place, and this model happily stood for me and modeled for me when I was 8 years old. And I placed almost all my memories that I had of that image onto this specific piece, and that's how I finished it after 40 hours. And I lost 4 teeth in the process.
Well, it's a heck of a fight. Yeah. He's a big model. You probably got a good punch in. Of course, you were, that 40 hours you're losing teeth. That is,
I was still 8 years old. I was still growing.
Still growing, and 40 hours of a growth spurt right in the middle of a painting.
I know.
Now, it's cute that he was a carpenter. Interesting, I should say, more not than cute, but a carpenter coming through like that. And I heard through an interview that or someone was saying that if you put the Shroud of Turin over top of that painting, matches quite well. Well, I did that. I actually found an image of the Shroud of Turin online, got your painting, and put them in a program, a little art program that I have, and I kept putting them back over top of each other, and I went, okay, that's just freaky.
Oh, this is one of the things that even amazing. Baffled me, because we got a call, I believe it was 6 years ago, and they gave us, I apologize for my memories, but I don't recall the professor who did this for me. It's a known fact that the painting of Prince of Peace is the closest match for the Shroud of Turin, and what is the resemblance is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Even for me, I am so honored to be able to see that.
And again, for the listener, you had no idea what the Shroud of Turin was.
I did not know until they showed it to me 6 years ago. I have absolutely no idea what the Shroud of Turin was at all.
Yeah. I was going to say you should get out more, but no, you're fine. You're fine. Everything you need comes to you, so it's okay that way. This painting, and for those, my listener out there, if you want to do this, look at the Shroud of Turin, look at the Prince of Peace. The nose is the right length. The bones in the eyebrows are amazing. The cheekbones are amazing. It's incredible. The model that stood for you. Is he still around? Have you ever met him again?
Yes, he's definitely still around. I every now and then I do always keep in contact with them. Their son and his wife are extremely good friends of ours, so we always keep in contact.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I was kind of worried that, and he left and was never seen again.
You never know.
He went into kind of the ether and disappeared, and with angels singing and things. Do you have, or do you, I'm guessing you believe in angels, because that's kind of a gimme. It goes along with this. Have you ever had a chance to speak to any of your personal angels?
You know what? This is when I was a child, definitely when I was 3.5, 4 years old, I do vividly recall that there was this woman of a very light being who kept on following me everywhere. And for months and months, I would just look at her, and I would just my mom would just look at me, and I would just stare in a distance with nothing to look at. And she would ask me, "Who are you looking at?" And I would, obviously, I'm a very shy person at the time. I would deny the fact that I was looking at this female angel. And 6 months later, what I did, I don't know why I did this, but I wanted to become like her. So she had this amazing white teeth. And what happened was I took a toothpaste and I tried to put it on my teeth to make it and rub it and keep it in there and just to make it white. And I still have a stain to date. What happened to that event? But I drew her about more than 50 times just to show it to everyone who I was seeing. And I know she's still with me, but after around 8 years old, it became more of a she became part of my sight instead of she was in my sight.
Okay. Kind of explain that to me. She was part of my sight as opposed to being in your sight.
It's almost like saying if you place an object in front of you, you would see that object. But now it's more of she is seeing that object with me. It's like we move at the same time. We look at things at the same time, but you feel the presence on the side of you, not in front of you now, but it's like almost like a comfort blanket that is over you.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's what a nice angel to have with you.
I'm very blessed.
When you went on, and again, I'm going back looking at, thinking about some of your paintings that were more, kind of out, I shouldn't say out there, but around the age of 10, you painted pyramids and the kind of the universe and that type of subject of things that you'd seen in visions. So around 9 and 10, were you guided to areas of consciousness or unconsciousness or locations that you had never seen before? And then how would you explain, again, without having books or the access to the Hubble telescope, how do you explain, or I shouldn't say how do you explain, because you and I both know how you explain it, but how would you articulate the way that you were shown the nebulas and the galaxies and the planets? It's amazing.
You know, this is a very interesting question, because when everyone asks, how do you get your ideas or how do you remember them? Were you shown? And you know what? I'm going to be extremely open of the process. This is most of the time what happens is in the beginning, I absolutely have no idea what I'm going to be painting at all. Even the minutes that I'm going into a canvas, I have absolutely no idea. And usually what happens is I would, not intentionally just take a single color from my drawer, and these pieces will start coming to me just by touching the colors, just by putting it on the palette and just dabbing it with no intention on the canvas. And there was interesting, actually about 3 months ago, I just finished my painting called 16 Lives in the Wind. And this particular painting took me 7 months to complete, because in the beginning, I had this feeling of a carefree spirit. That's all I felt. This is all I thought. I did not see any image or nothing like this. And that morning, what I did, I just took just a white color, and all of a sudden, these faces started to appear, one after another. And it was 16 faces. And I would whitewash one after another, and this is about over 1,000 hours into my painting, where I finally found this pure, true being that I was searching for, the light, the silence that I was searching for, the character, the emotion. And that's how it is with me in my process. Is I would get a feeling first. I would get a color first, and it's a journey. It's a process with every single painting.
As a amateur painter, Like I can do like maybe 2 rooms on a whole bucket of paint. But the no, I used to paint when I was a kid. I used to paint with acrylic. To listen to you describe the process is completely foreign to me. It's incredible. It's mind-blowing, actually. And I'm thinking back to a painting called Jesus in the Missing Years, where he's kind of on his crouched down, and it looks like he's speaking with his hands open, but he is in the universe, and he's just up there with the earth kind of to his, kind of almost behind him, like he's kind of protecting it from something. What is it you feel about the religious-based paintings from that time, that mid-teen years, which was only, a couple of weeks ago? No, it wasn't that long ago, 6 years ago. Do you recall what you felt through that phase or that person?
From all I know is the moment I touched a pencil or a painting was the moment I knew I needed to project everything that I saw, felt, or heard. Whether it was, it's almost like I would consider myself a visionary journalist artist that creates and projects, all, backgrounds, beliefs, and all different, is it, the future, the past. And during these years, when I was during like 8 to 14 years old, I would be heavily involved in these spiritual paintings, and particularly the Christ. It's actually not a trilogy, but I think I have more than that. I have 6 paintings or 5 paintings. But I definitely felt this desire, this need to portray this life story, this timeline of this particular, just this legend, this figure, the spiritual figure that everyone knows. But this is ironically at the time where I started to paint these figures. I absolutely had no idea what the name was. I didn't know the name was Jesus. I didn't know if the name was God or Christ. I just felt I needed to paint this particular face, this story. And that's kind of how I am with art. Even though I don't understand the names, the titles, the description behind something, I would just paint it and do the best I can to share that story.
Yeah, it comes out. They always say is one picture is worth 1,000 words, but yours are a few more words. They're not only a few more words, but there's other pictures. Look in the eyes, fall into them. One of your paintings, it's a black woman with a red hat. What's that one called?
The Planted Eyes?
Oh, yeah, Planted Eyes. That's right. That is an incredible story. When I say that, I mean I see an incredible story in the painting. What was it in you that drove you to paint that one? This is actually, I believe, the second painting I've ever done. This took me about 15 hours to complete when I was 8 years old. I think it just went on my birthday. I think I completed this painting. And I can't really describe that feeling, but I felt that I was living in Idaho at the time, and there were, for reasons, there are not a lot of cultural differences there. There's not a lot of backgrounds and races that are all in almost like a metropolitan city where I can go and listen to their stories and see people of different races and cultures. So I decided at 8 years old I wanted to portray that particular culture. And I felt that there is so much
so much we don't understand, so much beauty that and so much story that's behind this particular woman. And I want to leave it up to the person who's looking at the painting to make up a story, because every person is different. But I wanted to reveal that the suffering that she went through, but at the same time the beauty and the hope that she's looking forward to, and I wanted to portray that in the planted eyes.
And it worked. It worked well. I get strength out of it. I get sadness, a lot of sadness, and a lot of hope for the future.
Yes,
all
and that's
from one face.
Yes, I'm very happy that you felt the same, because my paintings that I do, the best thing I could do right now, and the best ability, I want to showcase the word hope in every single painting that I do.
Do you have an airplane landing on your roof?
I think that is our next door neighbor who is landscaping at the moment.
Oh, okay, good. I just, I'd hate it if you're talking to me and all of a sudden a helicopter comes down and
that would be a coincidence, definitely.
Yeah. And that was Aki. She is gone now. Everything's okay. Now, you say you use models for this. The woman that you used for that one. Did you get a life story from her? Did she actually talk to you about herself?
No, she did not. I just what I did, I met. Actually, this was not just one person. I actually met 3 people, and what I wanted to do was to combine their expression that they had in their eyes, and I wanted to combine into one specific person, and that's kind of how it came about.
Oh, wonderful. We are talking to Akiane Kramarik. Please go see her website, akiane.com, and look at what she's done. Read about who she is. And I'm going to be back with more from Aki right after this.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Are you an ET experiencer, but you just don't know what's going on? Are you too timid or shy to discuss it with anyone? Maybe I can help. Join me, R. Keith Andrews, the first Friday of every month on Spaced Out Radio, and I will help you to find the answers you're looking for. Together, I will help you understand the off-worlders and the true meanings behind your experiences. All you have to do is join us in the Spaced Out Radio chat room. See you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Have you ever seen a UFO, a ghost, Bigfoot, or something else weird or arcane? This is Dave Scott, host of Spaced Out Radio. Every night, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, we are live for 3 hours of jam-packed information with the top guests from their field of expertise. Come take a listen and share your experiences with us. You can find everything you need at spacedoutradio.com. Are you experienced?
Have you ever wondered about those weird and strange creatures people have reported throughout history? Do you wonder if those stories are real? Me too, and that's why I started Cryptopia.us. Hey, this is Rob Morphy, crypto historian. Join me once a month on Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott, where we will get into the odd and bizarre reports, from the Dover Demon to hairy hominids and everything in between. I will break down what people like you and me are seeing at spacedoutradio.com.
James Tyson can be found on Facebook at Spaced Out Weekend. You can follow James on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, on YouTube, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Twitter at James Tyson SOR. And don't forget to sign up to become a space traveler on our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Akiane Kramarik. Please drop by her website, look at her work. It's akiane.com. A beautiful, beautiful young woman who is becoming older as we speak. She's almost 22. Same age as my favorite boots. Now, you have heard these terms growing up, and of course they're terms put on you by people you don't know. Starseed, indigo. Once you heard these, did you look them up, and what do they mean to you?
You know, every time I go out and to another show or an event, there's always a new word that I have to go back and look up. It's crystal child, indigo, prodigy. I didn't even know what prodigy was until I was 10 years old, 9 years old. And there's so much words and descriptions and titles that was laid upon me. But I am extremely honored, to be honest. Yeah, no matter what kind of title it was, I'm really honored to be able to be called that. But at the same time, I do know that once you put a title on someone, it always has a little bit of a downside where there's a restriction, where there is a limit, there is a expectation that you're supposed to rise up on. But so even to date, I still don't consider myself a crystal child, a prodigy, or like an indigo. I just consider myself a very very hardworking, dedicated person that really loves art and will do anything to achieve it. So yeah. Do you think a lot of this came from homeschooling, like not being exposed to things that were, I want to say, flighting, like just like a hit and run? Did you watch such and such TV show last night where this guy did this and was wearing a goofy tie and giggle, and it's like a whole bunch of information thrown at you that kind of was outside your outside the box. It might definitely be a part of that, because I do recall every time, when I was with my family, they would be this, it's a very fluid, optimistic group where we don't really put any sort of label. We just let each other grow in every sense. And I think that was extremely helpful for me, because I always recall I was such a silent. I didn't speak that much when I was a child, and I was really happy that my parents and my brothers allowed me to use other mediums to speak, in a sense, to express my feelings, and I think that was really lovely for them to do.
Do you feel other people's energy?
Every time I meet a new person or speak, something would trigger in me, and I would. it got so much when I was 7 years old. I met so many people, and I felt their feelings so much that it became almost very hard for me. It was almost a weight that was on my shoulder, because I would carry their burden or their story with me every day, because I would remember them very vividly, and I would feel them very vividly. So yes, it almost came to pass where I was extremely,
High anxiety?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. I would probably just say I absorbed a lot of people during. They didn't even have to speak. I would just look at them and I would just feel them. My mom, always said that I was very intuitive, and I would, as a child, what happened was I would just look at a person, and after meeting them, I would. Before meeting them, I would tell exactly what I felt about that particular person and their life story. And, after the meeting, it was almost all the time spot on. But I don't know. I just allow my feeling to be almost a second brain for me, because it's something that as an artist, I see feelings, and I see that gut feeling and that intuitiveness very, very valuable in everyday life.
Yes. Is there anyone on your mother's side of the family that she can think back that was intuitive too? Her father was a very famous movie director and a producer in the country of Lithuania. And he always, as I recalled, he always felt the need to, when he was working with actors and actresses, he did the same thing. He felt the same way, and he went into poetry as well. And I think that I absorbed a little bit of my mom's side, the poetry aspect as well. And obviously my dad is extremely sensitive in every person that we meet. So I think it's a bit of everything. So yeah, you got a good genetic background for being asensitive. I look back at my life and I compare it to your life. My sensitivity happened all through my life, but really came up in 2012. Yours started when you were born, which is absolutely fantastic. It's like having that openness, and I think it was really a number of just the perfect storm, the perfect conditions of homeschooled and away from media interference and radio and television, an overburden of religious beliefs or doctrine, depending on what you were being influenced by. You were just, again, that blank canvas. When this changed, when spiritualism came into your family, how did that affect your parents and specifically your mother? Because, yeah, you can be agnostic and whatever the belief system, but being an atheist, you just kind of think, okay, in my life and your mother's life growing up, that is something she just never, religion was something she didn't buy into. How did that change? And then after it changed in the family, and this is a two-part question for those. After they change or the change happens to your family, how did it affect the family group?
It's very, my whole life, my whole journey and my family's journey were almost like a two-way highway. And in the beginning, it was very interesting, because on one side I did have these spiritual experiences, and I would often not say anything, but I would just draw it, and at the same time I would just be around my family, and whom they were not very open to, or they didn't have the knowledge of the idea of spirituality. So in the beginning, it was a very, peculiar situation. But the moment I started trying to explain it through words, the moment with my vocabulary started to improve, was the moment I started sharing. And when you do have, like you said, the right ingredients, my mom was extremely a good listener, and she would just listen to me, and she would, I think after dozens of hours after our conversations, she had this, I'm very honored to say it, but she always has this trust that she trusts in her children a lot. And slowly she started becoming open to that possibility. But after that experience that I had when I was 5.5 years old was the moment where she was completely in that position where she would take every word that I spoke into consideration and to a possibility. And so did my father afterwards. And because everything that I spoke, if it was in minute detail, he was working 3 jobs at the time. He would go to work and he would share this, my experiences with other people. And those people would, say, wow, she is right, because the information your daughter gave was in this particular book, or was in this particular, scientific paper. And slowly the facts started building up, and my dad started becoming more open-minded, and slowly my family began coming with me in this journey of looking over past this atmosphere that we call Earth. And to date, I think even though we in a sense, we don't consider ourselves to belong to a specific religion. I think we're extremely spiritual, and we love absolutely everybody, and we all have our different spiritual paths. And I did finally understand that every person on this planet, no matter who they are and how they grew up and what information they were given, in a sense, no one is wrong and no one is, 100% right. I think we're all on the same page. We're all on this journey to find the truth. And I think the moment we stop and the moment we convince ourselves we found the truth is the moment where our life as humans kind of cease to exist. So we need to keep on searching together as a whole, and I think that's extremely important.
Keeping searching is the goal. It's moving forward and looking, and it's those people who have said, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, and I'm not budging. It's almost like you have to poke them in the butt to say, hey, get going. You've got to, you're still here to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And
exactly.
not
I think we all are in a sense are in this school called life.
Oh yeah.
That's at some point at the end of our years we would graduate. But
yeah, and don't get it figured out too early.
Exactly.
Because they call you home, and that's you just don't want to. I was talking to a very famous psychic in the U.S. and she said that we all can manifest, which is like meditating and pulling things forward that we want if it's true to us, and if it's again the right time. But don't get good at manifesting to the point that you can manifest everything, because then there's no use being here anymore, and there's nothing more to learn. So be careful what you wish for, as they say, because if you still like being on this plane, well, hang tough and continue to learn. And I think one of the biggest things we forget is growing up, and I think we may have talked about this earlier, but it's just loving other people and learning to love. And there are frustrations in our life. Frustration leads to anger in some, but just because we're frustrated, take that deep breath. It's like road rage. It's
absolutely. You're so true. You're so right, because I believe believe that in the end, our goal as humans, as mankind, we need to reach for that ultimate goal is love. I think we all need to somehow take in consideration that there's beyond today, there is always tomorrow, and we don't need to focus on the absolute negative details. We need to look at the broader things in life.
You painted again into the mid-teens. There were, and I know from having a mid-teen teenager who is 16, who is completely different from you. She's a very, very high empath. You know, she feels other people's feelings and just absorbs everyone else's issues and brings them home. And we've had to really have her centered, and she's a lot better now. But being that mid-teen, did you go through the issues that other mid-teen girls went through with the self-doubt, kind of running more ego than like, you know, I've got a pimple in the middle of my forehead, I'm never going to go outside again? And I ask that because at the age of 16, you painted a picture called Time, and it's different from a lot of your other. It's an abstract with a woman's face, and if our listener could go to Akiane.com and look up picture Time, I want to say picture all the time. It's the painting Time. To me, it's very different than everything else, and it's right at that age of the internal conflict as you're growing up.
Mm-hmm. You know, I can't deny the fact that obviously, you know, there are some days where you start self-doubting yourself, you know, in the society, you know, what are you going to wear? Is my hair okay? Like, there's always the added, you know, sometimes the characters would go in a waves, but I did ask my family, since I am working on a lot of projects, and I have to ask my family for their correct memories of how I was as a teen, as a child. And they always kept on mentioning that I never had that character of self-indulgence or ego. What I often did, I became so, the word that I probably the most, in my mid-teens was probably the fact that if there was a painting that it wasn't finished or wasn't perfect, I would just never show it to anyone, even to my family. I would lock myself in my studio until it's finished. Actually, to date, my family don't ever go into my studio because it's almost that sense where it's my creative world. I never tend to like self-recognition, you know, self-attention. Even as a child, it was very, the moment I went on to the Oprah show and I went to radio shows and television, it was a very new world to me. And at the same time, I love sharing my story with everyone, meeting those amazing people. But I never got the concept of, okay, let's use this to make myself look bigger. I never understood that concept. I just understood that this is a tool, this is a gateway to share. I never had the intention of, you know, blowing it up into, you know, disproportionate ratio and try to position myself higher, and quite opposite. My family kind of tells me to, you know, it's okay, you know, it's okay to be, you know, confident in this area. Mm-hmm. So during those teen years, I obviously, all teenager girls, we always have the insecurities. I am not going to deny that, but I did remember when I was painting the Time painting, it was on a tile plate. And one day it was midwinter, and I went to the garage, and I love feeling textures a lot. And what happened was I came across sorting out these storage things in our garage, and I came across this tile, and the moment I felt the texture, there was a moment, an idea just came to me about our perception of time and how long and how old and how many memories the specific rock, the specific tile went through. And it was almost like that kind of was the sand dropping for the hourglass type of idea where, okay, it's not just a specific tile, it's everyone, it's that tree, it's that animal. How do we perceive time and how quick it goes, or how do people retain memories? And I wanted to record that on the specific texture, because everything has a memory. And it has, in a way, I believe everything is ageless. We're all ageless in a way. And I wanted to also showcase that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And time is man-made. So it's, being ageless, being timeless, and just being who we are right now. It's a beautiful concept. And looking at time, I'm looking at it right now. I brought it up on my monitor, and I can put my hand in it. Like it feels like I could just reach through it, like push through it, and you see texture, which is hard to explain, but I can see texture in it. It's a beautiful piece, and I know it's not as flashy as This Is My Life, the ballerina that my daughter likes, which I'm going to have to buy her. Drat. I would just like. Oh, the other thing too is, do you have a book of your paintings?
Yes, actually, I did publish already 2 books. The first book when I was 11 years old with my paintings I had at the time and my poetry and my life. And the second book was about my poetry. But right now, I'm actually this year, I hope to be finished with my third book. And this third book will contain almost every single piece of work I've ever done, with the most detailed life story that happened to me, without no filters, no publishers and editors input on it. I wanted this book to be very interactive, where people could come with me on a journey and see it through my perspective.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. Could you do me a big favor, and on the very last page, could you just put "to be continued"? I don't want it to be look like, okay, I've done my entire life now.
It's so interesting because, right now we're trying to figure out which last painting would be placed in the book. And every time I complete a new painting, they're like, okay, let's place this one. Maybe this will be the last painting. Okay, this one maybe the last painting. And it's very hard to figure out where to stop. But yes, I'll definitely do "to be continued."
Yeah, please, because I deep down, I never want to see. This is very weird and a little offbeat, and you're going to have to bear with me. All those fans of Aki are there. You're going to have to bear with me on this. A really good friend of mine. I was out. He snuck us into a bar out here to watch an Elvis impersonator back when I was 18. The drinking age is 19. And as we left that night, I looked at him, and his name was Rick Peterson. And I said, he looked at me, and you know how guys say goodbye or see ya, see you tomorrow kind of thing? He was supposed to be at my house the next day. I said, so see ya. And he looked at me and said, he just looked at me in this weird way and said, "Goodbye, Jim."
Oh my.
And I looked at him and went, that's kind of weird. Well, he was dead within 6 hours after that.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm looking at, I look back at that. Goodness. And the person that said, "Goodbye, Jim," I'm pretty sure wasn't him. It was him, but it was more his spirit saying goodbye to us.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm very cautious. I never say goodbye. Like when I leave the kids somewhere, I never say goodbye. I always say, "See you soon." And
this is so good. Wow. Wow.
It's one of those things. Never shut the door completely. You see what I'm saying there?
That is a beautiful, beautiful saying.
So just, To be continued.
Absolutely, absolutely. Even when someone is gone, there's always to be continued because the memories are the continuation.
My dad came and gave me crap here one day. I was doing a interview with Karen Dahlman, who does Ouija boards, and she was saying it's just the intent. Don't worry about using a Ouija board, and So I've never used them. I was always thought of like opening a door I didn't want to, and I'm thinking to myself right in the middle of the interview, oh, that's a good idea. Okay, yeah, maybe the intent, and something. I felt I was like one of my kids had grabbed my collar and pulled me back in the chair, and I turned around angry, like, why would you do that? And there's nobody there.
Oh my goodness!
And I was told later it was my dad. In other words, no, James, you are not playing with one of those. not that he had an accent, but it was like, yeah, it's like, smarten up. Yeah, Karen can do it, but you can't because you're too scattered in your head. Tell me about your poetry and its change since you were little and your first poetry came out, and how is it changed now? And again, this is one of those questions my English teacher would ask. It's about 20 questions in one, but because I'm one of those conversational interviewers as opposed to anything else. But when your poetry started, when you were a little one, to where it is now, has it changed because of life events? And also, did your poetry come to you as in painting, more of, and I'm going to have to say that word again, like channeled, or what you say, that liquid kind of flow through you?
Mm-hmm. This is when I started discovering poetry was when I was 6.5 years old. And I had absolutely no previous knowledge of how to write poetry, because poetry is art is something that no one really can teach you or show you. It's something that you have to figure out on your own. But, there was a day where I absolutely, it just came completely by accident. I would just look at a specific, a word, a title or of some sort, and I would look at another word, and I would put together these words into a sentence right before my eyes. It almost like pieces to a puzzle, and it was the game I used to play with myself. Is like I would go and place these words I would see all around me, whether if it was in the nature or in the grocery store. I always love placing these words together, and I figured out the best part about it is when I was painting, I was able to do the same thing with the story of painting. So I used poetry as a gateway to express the story and the description. So it's almost like, to me, poetry was the other side of the coin. As for art can show the story, and poetry could tell and voice the story as a narrator. And yes, my style of poetry did change over the years. In the beginning, it was more of a general outside view. Now it's becoming more of a personal view, more of a detail, more of a not just spiritual, but more of a physical, more intuitive, interactive perspective. For example, if it's gearing towards a person's life or a plant's life, or a microscopic point of view, and I love the variation and the variety which poetry can bring, because it not only could tell a story of a painting, but at the same time could take people on a journey through a complicated emotion, through a life of a plant or something, or the galactic knowledge or spirituality. I love taking people on a journey with me, and that's what poetry does.
And that's what this started out to be anyway, taking people with you to see what you see. And now,
yes.
And now articulating it more in poetry. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. because of the poetry and because of the fabulous, and because of my tongue falling out, the fabulous artwork you do, you've been, another one of these labels have been put on you is called a binary genius. First of all, I have no idea what that means. This is me dumbing it down so I understand. Is that basically based on you're really good at two things?
Yes. That's probably, even for me, I still, I'm fathoming, I still don't understand some of the titles that I'm being placed upon. But yes, they're, as far as I know, I am, what people say, I am considered the youngest binary child prodigy in the world. But there's so much expectation to live up to. But
you know what? Again, it's one of those things. People put labels on you, and you just kind of nod and think, "Should I really look that one up?" Nah, I'm busy. My life is over here.
It's very funny. I still didn't know what binary was until someone said that to me. So that was really interesting. But yes, it was because of the poetry that I'm writing and the art that I'm painting.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's again, I'm terrible with labels. I almost cringe. Now I've been told I was an empath. I had no idea what that was. So I had to go look it up. I did a bunch of research in it and go, okay, that makes sense for what I saw when I was growing up. Now when someone says, hey, you're an empath, I kind of go, yeah, I know.
It's like, yeah, I did the research already.
Yeah, okay, I know. But before I did it, was like, yeah, this is kind of creepy. And you have way more titles and way more labels. And to be strong enough to put those aside is... I wish I had a label for that. It's a very good thing. It's a very good thing that will keep you focused and strong and connected to your family. To the non-binary geniuses you live with, because it's not. You don't want to intimidate people you grew up with or you live with because of something, a person that you don't know, who lives in a university somewhere and reads a lot of books, says, Aki is actually a left-handed, right-handed, blonde, blue-eyed binary genius. And you're going, oh, please, just call me.
It's very funny the way what you mentioned is because sometimes when I'm with my family, I actually sometimes get intimidated by them because they're absolutely. Also, in my point of view, I think that they're actually almost just as, or even more than me, because I think they're almost the root of my inspiration in every single project that I do. But I look up to them a lot.
Well, if you think back in your life, you are the artist in the family, but you are the spokesperson for the family group through painting and poetry.
Yeah, I think we all, in a sense, we all have our own corners of the spectrum. I love to create with tangible, mediums. And my brother, who is 15 at the time, but he published his first book at 6 of philosophy, and he is extremely philosophical. And my other brothers are extremely talented in either computers or cooking, and they're we all have different areas of expertise, and I think we love to help each other step up and become stepping up the ladder is what we like to do to each other.
Oh, that's beautiful. Your mother, of course, is a teacher, so that's a giving profession.
Yeah, she's building. Definitely, she's probably not the teacher that you would really label as. She's more of that listening teacher that actually helps other people grow. And she was amazing at to find my gift early in age and recognize it and support it. And she did that to almost every single one of her children. And she is my biggest role model.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And of course, your dad is an artist. He's a chef.
Yes, he's extremely good at it.
Yeah, and to me, that's an art. That is a collection of energies put together to come up with a product, and it is an art that you put your heart into. So you've got an artist and an intuitive, you've got a sharing family. It's absolutely beautiful. I wish I recognized something in my children more than, oh boy, at the age of 3, she poops a lot. It's completely different in my house. And I really couldn't focus much on her talent at the time. So,
everybody has their own time, whether it's 3 or 33 or 63, doesn't matter.
Well, that's mine popped up in 2012, and I went,
there you go.
Oh, it's taken a while. It comes when it's time.
Absolutely. It's just like a seed. It's just like sometimes the seed grows in a day or in 2 weeks, or just like a bamboo, it grows in 5 years, the first sprout. So we don't know until we reach our time.
Yeah, and in your case, the seed actually came out fully grown. So it was, stop that. You're just way too good. We are talking to Akiane Kramarik, because I can call her that because I've known her for almost an hour.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll be back with more right after this.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium, Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott. Join me Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com, where we delve into all things paranormal, supernatural, extraterrestrial, crypto, and all topics in between. Come on by, take a listen, and tell us about your experiences. We are here for the answers you need. Spaced Out Radio, broadcasting right out of this world.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle. Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave. And we are back with now my really good friend, Akiane Kramarik. We were talking in the last quarter about lots of cool things, and most of it because I am so enthralled with what we were talking about off air, I've completely forgot. No, it's
Me too.
Yeah, so we're going to move on. One of the things I needed to bring up was, and I do have an interview coming up with somebody who perceives that anything to do with spirit that we as human beings see is a trick of the devil. It's a Satan. It's black. You know, everything is black. It's dark. As a paranormal investigator, every spirit that I've helped cross or every spirit that I have communication with is a trick of Satan. And I'm going to wager that even as a very young child, you had those kind of people come out of the woodwork at you.
You know what? There was, even before I started sharing my story with my neighbors or my friends, I did have a lot of images of very peculiar and very dark worlds that I actually saw. It's not all love and unity that I was experiencing. There was a lot of times where I looked and saw very suffering in itself, and not in this world but in other worlds. So before I even shared my story with anyone, I did have a lot of experiences with being able to see this. And the moment I began expressing my paintings with everyone was the moment everyone started to not only doubt that I completed these works, but they labeled me as a devil's child. And one of the so-called close friends of our family started saying to burn all my poetry and art because it was Satan's work. And there were so many people who came up and said this to me, but when I was not around, they would very tell my mom, my dad, very cruel words because of the fact that they allowed me to paint paintings of my dreams and my visions. So I am very saddened because they got hurt probably even more than me because it's their childhood that they were hurt, that they were speaking of. And this went on for, oh, goodness gracious, for years. It's even after I painted the Prince of Peace, when I first showcased it, there was an agent that was trying to recruit me, and he looked at that painting and he says, "Oh, well, we're going to cover this one up and no one's going to see this one again." And it was like it was a tug of war constantly with showcasing my work. Maybe this is the right time, or maybe we shouldn't showcase my work. And a lot of people came and went in our lives. But around 10 years old, 11 years old, my mom and my dad especially, he was the one that decided to, as much as he can, to filter out all these negatives that were coming to me, even though it was out of his control. My family started filtering out these negatives, and they just allowed me just to be in my own bubble and try to just paint whatever I want. And they kind of were like my sponge armor that absorbed everything around me. And I think I am extremely grateful for them, even though I was extremely hurt, and I almost went into the time where I didn't paint for months because but the moment I stopped painting was the moment I physically went ill, because I needed to paint, because I have to, because I wanted to. It's because I felt it was almost the same as oxygen for me. And yes, to answer your question, there was a lot of people that came and went into our lives that said those things.
You still kind of dealing with that every so often now too?
There are obviously, you can't really stop everything, but a majority of the people, they are extremely amazing and supportive. So I think in this case, the positive absolutely hands down outweighs the other side. And because throughout the years, I think by proving to people through the diversity of my work, through the videos that I show, through the beginning to end tutorials, and through interactive video time, I think even though you cannot convince everybody, but I think you could shed some sort of possibility that Akiane is, an artist that loves to paint. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what I love. That's what I want to do.
And you do it so well. One of the things that comes to me, and it's forgiving the people who said those horrid things to your parents. Without forgiving them, you can't love. Mm-hmm, exactly. We need forgiveness before we love, and we should be loving everyone. And that is. That's my goal every day, to get over the road rage when somebody cuts me off and just kind of go, okay, never mind. Mm-hmm. It's okay. Exactly. It's okay. It's his. I'm forever throwing baggage on other people. Someone does something, and imagine as a policeman when someone yells and screams at me, and I just have to sit there and go, okay, well, I'll let him yell and scream until he's really, really tired, and then I'll talk. Or we do a thing called modeling, where we talk really low when someone else is yelling and they can't hear us, so they start bringing their voice down too,
and slowly, unconsciously, we started going to a conversation, solving the problem. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, it is kind of, it's a tricky way to deal with things, but it's frustration. Most people, frustration leads to full out anger, and if you can cut it at the frustration part, mm-hmm. Like you say, sometimes you just get to a certain point where you're painting, and you're like, okay, I'm going in this circle and it's not coming out. What's going on? And you get frustrated with yourself. It's that deep breath, take a step back, mm-hmm. shut your eyes, either ask for help or look inside of you.
Absolutely. It's almost like, sometimes people their mouth speaks before what their heart really wants to say, and the reasoning kind of kicks in before the feelings. And my mom and my dad always had a very peculiar suggestion. Always, think before you actually want to say something, because sometimes memories last forever, and whatever words you say, is extremely it triggers memories. So just always be aware of everybody and feel for them and listen to them. And I love doing that, even though I was encountered by people who absolutely disagreed with me and hated my work. I actually enjoyed the idea that where they were coming from and the reason why they were saying this. And it was, I wanted to almost investigate the reasoning and the ideas, and then come to a conclusion and solution we could come in on an equal term. But it's a very interesting what you just said about that.
Unfortunately, I have no filter, and
that's a good thing, though.
My parents would say, "Think before you speak," and if I could only go back and grab those words and put them back in and hope like no one heard me, but too late. It is hard. It's hard, and to deal with people that are negative towards you, who don't know you. and you just want to come out and say, no, this is who I really am. And you jump up and down and wave, this is who I really am. And then I start thinking now it's that is their issue. Mm-hmm. But if I make it mine, then I'm carrying negativity that I don't really need in my life. Mm-hmm. So I agree that you have the right to say what you're saying. And I must, at this point, you must agree with me that I disagree with you. Mm-hmm. And you move on, because like an old movie where this guy was in a race and he tore off the rearview mirror and threw it, and he said, what's behind me no longer matters. We learn from it, but just move forward. Keep on swimming. Mm-hmm. Keep on swimming. Anyway,
absolutely.
And that's what we have to do. Now, one of the things I forgot to ask you about at the when we were talking about the Prince of Peace, I wanted to talk about your connection with Colton. Now, Colton, I want to say Burpo?
Burpo.
He was a young fellow who had a near-death experience and saw a number of his past relatives and someone he reports as being Jesus. Mm-hmm. And when he saw your portrait of the Prince of Peace, it's the only image of Jesus that was even close to what he saw. Or was it the person that he saw?
As far as when I met him on the Katie Couric show, he said it was the only face that resembled of Christ. Our relationship is so extraordinary. Even it's hard for me to fathom. What happened was we got a call. I believe I was quite in my teens. I was 14 or 15. I'm not quite sure. We got a call from Burpo's dad, and they were writing a book about his story, and they wanted to use the Prince of Peace painting. And after we agreed, and I have never met Colton ever. I actually didn't get the chance to listen out to his story until the fact his book got published. And when I read the book, he mentioned that when he did see his grandfather, and he actually had a near-death experiences, and he met a lot of people in heaven, and the colors. It was his story was very similar to my story, and the first time I met him physically was at the Katie Couric show, and off the bat we just we absolutely had a blast together, and we started bouncing off these images and our stories together. So that it's a very he's almost like my brother that I never had. So I'm honored to have that relationship with him.
Oh, like a new kid in the family.
Absolutely.
To help the other brothers do the dishes. Yeah, Colton, get over here. It's fantastic. And again, a lot of these people who are very, very sensitive that I've interviewed over the last year or two, is their sensitivity actually started from a near-death experience. Mm-hmm. They've like crossed over, let's say, and were asked or told, no, you're not done, you got to go back. And once they come back, because they've been exposed to that other side, they seem to have embodied a lot more of. They've brought it with them, let's say.
Mm-hmm. It's like their reasoning has changed. Reality itself, yeah.
Yeah, it's an opening, and their vibration or their energy has become higher, and now they have more of a connection with the other side, with spirit world. And whether they're seeing their grandparents or they're seeing angels, it's kind of up to their path, I guess, or what they're allowed to see. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big believer in, when it's your time, it's your time. And, we can all try to raise our vibration, try really, really hard to see a spirit and see our guardian angel or see our spirit guides. But unless it's your time, you're not going to get there.
Yes. That's very beautiful the way you put that, because we all have our purpose here, and whether it is for a longer term or shorter term, I think we all need to support each other, and no matter how long or what time is, because time is man-made, as you brilliantly put it, and but I think we all have a purpose, no matter if it's today or in 100 years. We all need to fulfill it together.
In your life, you had so many visions as a child. Are they starting to slow down as you become older?
Yes, actually, yes, because almost after when I was 15, I think it started slowing down, and it almost the word came to me almost like a faith stage. It was that period of time where it did slow down, but the moment I started picking up any kind of canvas or paper, it somehow still, almost seeped through me without me knowing it. Even though I did not see the visions and dreams that often, it still came to me in pieces, no matter. It never really left. It's always there, but sometimes it's more hidden than other times.
It kind of leads me to wonder what the next step is. Mm-hmm. Are you ever conscious of thinking, where am I going to be in 2 years? Or are you living right now in the moment and kind of riding that little boat on a river?
You know what? I absolutely have no idea what 5 years or tomorrow is going to bring. I do have goals and ideas, but right now, every single hour, I just live in the hour right now, because I don't know why I do this. I think I really like appreciating every moment. I am surrounded by amazing people and positive people. I really try to live in the moment right now.
Do you travel a lot with your family?
Actually, we just came back from 26 countries, and we were quite tired, but we did live in 5 countries the past 6 years, and I got the chance to live in my mother's native country, and Australia and Scotland and Malta, and I love the idea that my family decided to just, drop everything and let's just go on a travel together. And I took my camera and our backpacks, and we were off. And that's what we did for the past 5-6 years or so right now. So I'm really happy we got the chance to do that and take back memories.
Oh, how come you didn't call? Jeepers, I would have gone.
I forgot your phone number.
Oh, okay, next time. Living for the moment is very, very important for us spiritually. It is just seizing each moment. It allows us to prolong every bit of value in our life and make it a lot more meaningful. Rather seeking quantity of time, like, okay, I need 6 months to do this. If you live in the moment, you just deal with it. This is where I am right now. We don't have to sacrifice for quantity. It's finding the perfection in the moment. In the womb of your house, where in your art room, where everything is created and is born, you can look around and see, sometimes what you think is cluttered, which isn't, or maybe somebody else will look at it and go, oh, wow, that's a messy little art room. But to you, that is, it is function.
It's the perfect ingredients that are supposed to, my dad always says, your art room is like ingredients that make up, zuppa toscana, the soup. Yeah. It's almost like, even though they look really uniquely and messy, and they're placed in different places of the room, they all come together into one area. So
that is your kitchen.
This is my kitchen.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and to be a fly on the wall without having paint splattered at me. It would be incredible to watch you go through the motions of painting. And actually, what I'd be interested in is if someone could actually, you can't do this, but to look in your eyes as you're creating. And I wonder what change you would see in your eyes compared to walking outside or talking to your brother. What different light is turned on? That would be very, very fascinating, because I believe strongly that the light in you expands when you paint. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel just filled, and I almost said tingled with energy, but just filled with that a wonderful light energy?
Oh, thank you so much, James. You know, definitely my creative process, even mind boggles me as well, because every painting has its own journey. And as you probably would notice, you know, on my videos that I do from beginning to end painting process, I do kind of try my best to walk people on a journey and what goes on in my head and through my eyes that day and how I felt that day. And, you know, every day what I do, I have the tendency to really put my perspective in detail. I love detail, no matter if it's in a sprout in the garden or if it's in, you know, the corner of a room on a frame or something. I love actually paying attention to detail, and I remember a lot. And so I think colors is very important to me because they describe emotion, and to be in a world with a lot of colors is the best thing for an artist.
Of course. Now, one of my hard questions I had saved. It's not that hard. But you say that colors are emotions. What is your favorite color?
This is so difficult, but if I do have to choose, it's probably the simple version of a color is probably blue. I could get more technical, or magnesium and cobalt, and
I knew it was going to be blue.
You know, because it's to me, for me, when I think of blue, it's what goes inside the mind and with the neurons and with the idea flow. And for me, blue is the color of the mind. And I love the fact that I can put a little bit of blue in almost all my paintings just to touch it up a little bit.
It's always there. I knew you were going to say blue. It was.
See, we are connected somehow.
Yeah, you've got. The thing is too is that, like you say, blue is a emotion, and when you put the blue in, it's more every time you use blue, it's a positive emotion.
Yes, I believe it's very. It's almost that pure. Pure knowledge, pure that kind of pure feeling that seeps through you and calms you down, that peacefulness. I absolutely agree wholeheartedly. I love the color.
Yeah, my color is aqua. It's a blue. It's kind of a green blue, but it's I can describe it as like the color of the water.
Turquoise-ish.
Yeah, turquoise-ish. Yeah, it's that beautiful water on a white sandy beach.
Oh, that's so gorgeous.
That's my relaxed color. If I was going to go to, when I meditate, if I'm going to, you know, my happy place, that's where it is. It's that water on a white sandy beach.
You know, ironically, to me, the green is the color of peace and blue is the color of the mind. But when you put those two together, it's almost like the peaceful mind. So you're at peace. So I think that's a beautiful color that you chose.
Interesting. Now, do you meditate?
Yeah, always in the morning. I absolutely take at least about an hour or 2 hours to go outside and to be in the nature and just to listen. I think meditation to me is listening to the whispers of the nature. And I absolutely love that, and I need that for my art.
Oh, beautiful. To me, meditation is connecting, grounding, and I call it meditation. You might call it prayer. I actually will ask things. Mm-hmm. I put out intention. Mm-hmm. I put out good wishes for somebody. I ask for help for somebody. It's my father was the same way. There was no religious he was brought up Anglican, I think, but it was no religious base. And during the Second World War, he was your age, heck, and he would lose a friend of his in another airplane. He just wanted a quiet space to, quote unquote, communicate in what I would call meditation. And he didn't really have a word for it back then, but just think of his friend and the good times they had, and say in his mind, the words in his mind, what he wanted to say to that person who had passed. And he would walk into a Catholic church, a synagogue, wherever, just because it was a quiet place. Or he would go out for a walk and sit quietly under a tree and do the same thing.
Oh wow, that's so beautiful though. But that's, in a sense, that is one of those moments we all take for granted. Silence we all take for granted. Even sometimes, I do as well, because in the middle of those silence, we actually our voice is the loudest in silence, in my opinion, because we can finally communicate with each other without the use of the physical words. We can communicate with our heart words.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. I like what you just said, because that's that is how I feel when I'm alone, breathing, taking those deep breaths and connecting and putting my thought, my vibration, my words out, primarily to help people who are either under the weather or going through a tough time in their lives. I'm trying to send them, or have energy sent to them, really, to help them along.
That's beautiful.
It's hard. It's going to be hard as we go through life, and especially right now with the times that are changing. And I want to live more to the moment like you do, but because I'm drawn to sparkles and glittery things, when I see something on television that says in 2 years we anticipate this is going to happen to the earth or whatever, yes, I kind of focus on that, thinking, okay, that's kind of creepy. Or whether it's Britain moving out of the EU. Or that kind of thing, or these things that the turmoil we see in the world. Are you affected by that in your day-to-day living, or grounding, I should say, or are you kind of allowing those chips to land where they may?
Since I do have a very diverse family, I'm always I always walk into very interesting conversations, whether it was from the, what you just mentioned, the Brexit, and from the, them leaving the EU, and or the politics, or, natural disasters. I always am up to date with everything, but at the same time, there's only so much that physically what one can do at that very moment. Sometimes, this is my my theory, that we have our strengths and we have our weaknesses, and sometimes the best strength is knowing our weakness. And sometimes I do kind of let the pieces fall into place, and I like to adapt to new environments, whether it was in different countries and different cultures. For example, when I was living in Lithuania, even though I spoke fluently Lithuanian, all the people from there, they extremely, it was very only a one-sided conversation, so to speak. They didn't accept me who I was, even though because of my accent, and they shut me off like a wall, and it was extremely difficult for me to be at home in that specific environment, even though I spoke fluently and my mother was Lithuanian, but I somehow made it so I looked at the positives and things, and I just focused on the positives and walked around the hurdles, so to speak. I guess that's my tendency in life. I like to, if there is a hurdle, I like to walk around it and look above instead of behind.
Yeah, don't, and that's what we try to do as a policeman, and in my life, and a few other policemen that I know. When you're given a challenge, look for the least complicated, and it's like climbing a wall. You try to find the weakest spot and just go around there. So it causes less ripple in the pond. You just try to get something done smoothly. The fewer the ripples in the pond, the less it affects everyone. And just kind of deal with it and move on, and deal with it and move on, and live your life on that little creek. I always used to say that it's like riding a leaf down a creek, and when it comes up to the rock and it sticks on a rock, you don't have to hit the rock with a stick and push it with your legs, because if you've ever seen a leaf on a creek, eventually, on its own time, it'll go around that rock. Yes. So don't waste your energy. Just go to have a nap on the rock, look at the stars, look at the trees, breathe the air, and eventually it's going to go. Don't waste energy on something that you have no control over. And that's when I see these outside things going on, whether, natural disasters and things, empathize without bringing on the energy, because I have no control over that.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very hard nowadays, especially with all the media information, with from all different kinds of countries and in politics. It's very hard not to feel and not to understand and not to empathize. I think it's and not to be sponged into that environment. And sometimes it takes a toll on one's body, and there's only so much the human brain can hold, so much feelings, so much information one can hold. So almost, I love the way you just said about the leaf in the creek, and we do need to take these information into consideration and practical reasoning, but at the same time, don't make it almost like a invisible footprint. We need to have those footprints to move forward.
Yes. And stress is the loss of control, or the perceived loss of control of a situation. And it's the perceived loss of control that gets us. It's, oh my gosh, there was a huge earthquake and that whole little school of children were taken out. I feel really bad for those children, and you've taken their grief onto you, but you have no control over that. So the only control you have is to think positive thoughts for those past, positive thoughts for their family, deep breath, move on, because you're just going to carry that. And when I was a young policeman, I didn't know that. And if Akiane, you phoned and said my car was stolen, I would go there, and by the time I spoke to you and took your report, it felt like our car was stolen.
Yeah.
So I gave 10% of myself to you. Well, I can only do that to 10 people a day before I'm completely drained. It was a year later, someone told me, no, you're stressing out over this because you've taken on everyone's hurt.
That must have been so difficult and challenging for you, especially in that field of work.
Oh,
I can only imagine.
It was kind of funny. I went to, because we're these really small towns, and I was from a larger city, they would send us to the psychologist every year just for like the update on to see how you're doing. And I said, you know what, everyone's crazy in this town except me. And he wrote it on a piece of paper and said, now read that out loud again. And I looked at it and said, oh, that's not a good thing to say, because I just said I was crazy and everyone was normal, really. So we got into it. He said, no, you've got to empathize, but don't take on anyone else's problems, because that is something you'll never be able to fix. And I did after that, and it took a few months, but it was fine. But now I teach that to other people, saying just don't understand go to help somebody, but don't walk away with it being your problem too, because you'll end up worrying about it when you're off. You'll end up worrying about it all the time, and you're not going to be able to help the next person who asks for help because you're stuck on person 1. And by the time you're dealt with person 10 at the end of the day, that 10th person's not going to get your time. Actually, number 2 to 10 aren't going to get the amount of time because you've expended so much on 1. So it is different, and that's that whole, what's going to happen with our world? Are we worried about elections? Are we worried about natural disasters? What's going on? You were lucky enough to have a glimpse, and this is going back many, many years ago, but you had a glimpse not only into the past, but into the future. And are those still things that, you've been gifted with, but it's not time for anyone else to know?
There absolutely, when I was a child, when I did see glimpses of the future, I absolutely did not say it to anyone. And there was a point where my mom was trying to extract that information out of me, and I told her the words. I said, I'm sorry, but you're not ready yet. I don't think no one is ready. And I kept a lot what I saw to myself, and I didn't even draw it out because it was something that I was mentally and physically not even prepared to even show it to myself. It was almost that fact that not now, maybe even later, when I am prepared, I'll show it to everyone. But yes, there were lots where I was shown, and yes, there are some that, yes, I did forget a lot because I did not draw them, but there are some I still do remember, and I will eventually paint them.
Oh, that is cool. That is cool. That's a very grown-up way of saying things. That's hey, cool, Aki. That was really cool. But it is one of those things. It's one of those amazing gifts you have, and the fear of letting somebody know, the fear of the unknown, the fear of tipping your hand. I know I've talked to very, very sensitive people who are telling me that something's going to happen, in a certain area. And all I can say is, well, can you tell me what it is? And they look at me like they've seen a ghost, and they say, no, I can't. It's one of those things where, we're not going to be able to articulate that, basically because they, I think, have made a deal that this is not going to be something that we're going to talk about. And as a result, I can't tell you because, first of all, it could scare you. And, we all have free will, so it may change. So what really is going on? And again, this comes into natural disasters. This comes in with man-made disasters, too. And you'd like to know, but maybe it's just not time. We're a nosy lot, aren't we?
No, we all have our time and our place, and some things we're not sure even 1,000 years after it already happened. Look at the famous books, just like the Bible. As far as historians were told, and they discovered that it was only generations after Jesus was gone that they started writing about the life. And everybody has their time, and sometimes it would destroy the present or it will change the future. And I think we just need to lean on each other in the future when things like this come up.
Yeah, it is. It's when we have to come together. And again, it's that love that we've talked about. It's the loving of everyone else and unconditionally. Just understand that we're all here. We're all the same. We're all the same person, so to speak, in the great scheme of things. We're all the same. We're all of one energy, and we're sharing this little piece of dirt flying around a large star. But there's more out there. I would be remiss if near the end here I don't ask you, and this is just what I have to do. In your visions, have you ever been introduced to beings from another universe that you would describe as not being human?
There were some experiences that I did come across where I didn't think that they were human at all. There were times where I kept on bumping into these light beings, and sometimes there were these, whether it was a dream or not, I kept on seeing these, I don't want to say this, but like these feline creatures that were enormous, and they walked on all fours. Whether it was from a different planet or not, I do not know whatsoever. I just know that these life forms I absolutely had no knowledge of. Sometimes one of the paintings I painted was called The Island, and in the painting you would see lots of interesting figures in that particular painting, whether it was giants or very miniature figures. And those particular figures I kept on seeing, and in that particular painting I visited this place, and they gifted me a transparent seedling, which I kept on holding on to time and time again, and I kept on visiting this place. And every time I met them, they would show me these events that happened in the universe or in the world, or just very casual conversation. I would be friends with these giants. And the funny thing is, right before I left and right before my memories of that place stopped, I remember right below the archway of the painting, I planted a transparent seedling, which grew to a nature-like arch, another arch. So some things I myself do not understand whatsoever. I just know that I did experience this, I did see this, and whether or not science or they do know that, that's kind of how I am. I try to, as best as I can, record everything so people can share and relate their stories. Just like the Prince of Peace painting, you have no idea how many letters and stories of that they shared with me, saying that this particular face, out of thousands upon thousands of Jesus paintings, this was the face they kept on seeing, and no one could have painted that, and as close as I did, and to be able to record these are extremely, for me, it's very honoring to share it with people, and I guess that's my mission in life.
Yeah, your path is to enlighten and share.
Mm-hmm. And inspire, hopefully inspire as well.
Oh yeah, it is inspiring, and it's absolutely beautiful. What you have done in this little speck of time on our planet, it is absolutely intriguing, and I'm absolutely fascinated with your energy and your being and who you are, actually, and who your family. You seem to me as the as a nucleus in a family that spins around you,
Mm-hmm.
and all together you are extremely strong, and that no matter where you are on the earth, you're still going to be spinning around. Like you're all going to be connected forever. So it's an honor. An absolute honor.
I love that way you just put it, because now I could just go up to my family and say, yes, we're an atom finally, together as a whole.
The atomic family. But I see it as not only the atomic family in your house, but I see it as no matter where you are in our universe, it's still that atomic family. The connections glittering back and forth are just fantastic. And it is a family's energy, and you are the artistic spokesperson for this. And I think your brother is the philosophical side, the head side of it. If I can, I see. I'm not that articulate, so it's the I am a policeman, for goodness sakes. He's the cerebral side, and you are the visual side. And each of the people in the family has roles, and the little tiny one, I wonder where he's at.
Oh, you know what? This is also a mystery to me, but he absolutely is in love with origami and architecture. So the attention to detail is beyond my capability. So I am inspired by just looking at him doing origami for 6 hours.
So he's a little quantum engineer.
I believe so.
Quantum physics, psychology, You've got the whole. You should just all leave and start your own planet. But do come back,
kind James.
No, but it's a fascinating mix, and I look at people who say that I've been told I was a star child, or I was told I was an indigo, or one of these other labels, and I think it's all varying degrees. We all have these baby steps. Maybe the 22-year-old now who has been deemed to be an indigo, 45 years from now, there could be another ascension, another point of their ascension into spirit, or to connection to higher vibration, however we want to label these things. It's my gut feeling that we are just here to do good to others and love everyone, just like a baby child, like just little children, not affected by everyone. We should all just be kids for a while.
Absolutely, James. I think that could be our motto. Let's all be, let's all return back to 6-year-old and 7-year-old children. That would be an interesting world. I think that would be filled with lots of fun and laughter and love, and I think we all need that time and time again.
We do. The unfortunate thing, there wouldn't be a lot of airplanes, and the traffic would
Unfortunately, I think the technology would a little bit decrease.
I want to build that. No, I want to build it. All right. I before I get too silly, too late. I should let you go. I want to thank you just for being you and coming on. Kenny, you are just a fabulous person, and I want people to go to your website and help out. Now, you have to remember that if you go to Akiane.com, she has a number of books. She has some downloads, calendars. Please take a look at these. She I'm talking about you like you're not here. Aki is supporting a lot of charities, and we're primarily for children. Am I correct?
Children, it could be, anything and everything that I try to set my heart and eyes on. I like to help, whether it was in schools, children, whether it's in healthcare or any kind of field. Hopefully I could put my finger and try to help as much as I can.
Oh, that's beautiful. Good for you. So I urge you to, if you have a gift, if there's a birthday coming up, like Aki's, on July 9th. Go to her website and buy her one of her own gifts, and because I bet you haven't got one of them. Buy her a bookmark. So,
That'll be that'll be the best.
Because you're supporting her passion and her love, and you're supporting her in spreading good energy, in spreading love, and spreading joy to the less fortunate that we have on our earth, that are our brothers, little brothers and sisters, and those who just need a hug once in a while. You're just, whether it's money is energy, and we say bad things about it a lot, but when it's used as positive energy, it's used the right way, it does affect the lives of many, many people. So again, I want to thank my listener for tuning in and going to Akiane.com and helping out with that.
Thank you so much, James, for having me.
Oh, it's more than a pleasure, and I hope to drop by and chat again sometime. And I want you to know that we all love you and your family. I want to thank your dad for getting a hold of me so often and keeping in touch with me until I could finally track you down and lock you in the art room.
I am honored anytime to have a conversation with you was a blast, and I learned a lot from you, James, so you are very inspirational, not just to me but to many, so thank you for being who you are as well.
Oh, thank you very much. And I did send you a couple little links on what astro-traveling was and an empath, and I am going to send you something from a friend of mine who, Derek Faust, who is an ex-Navy fellow who has been seeing light beings. And what's really funny about him, he described them as feline.
Oh my.
So I'm going to send you a link. He's on one of our radio shows. So I'm going to go in there and get that one and send you that. And he's got photographs of them because they actually follow him around.
Oh my goodness, that is intriguing. You got me excited now.
Okay, I'm going to let you go and say hi to the family for me, and we love you lots. So you have a wonderful, wonderful summer.
Oh, thank you so much, James, and it was such a blast talking with you. So we'll catch again some other time as well.
You bet, and have a happy birthday.
Oh, thank you so much, James.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This is our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free. All that we have is now. If this is what you want, then come to me.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey. Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing as they go. What are those voices? Look over the mountain. Somebody hide, somebody better hide. On through the hail, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. Run through the hail like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after. No!
I see dead